Have you had enough of LSU beating Florida? Well, I have. I'm sick and tired of it. And tonight we got some good news. Hey, I'm ready to jump in there with all fours and all of us tonight. Breaking news. The starting quarterback Saturday for the Florida Gators is DJ Lagway. He's back, folks. How does that make you feel? Well, it's a good time to do it. It'll be a good time in the swamp. And we're coming up with Ben Troop next. I'm sure he's kind of pumped. I say, let's call this thing to an end. 5 straight losses to LSU is enough. Stay tuned. The Buddy Martin Show is coming your way right now.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ? I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Well, what do you know? Ed Truth is here. It's time to do the program called The Buddy Martin Show. It's Thursday night. This is usually our Orange and Blue Bloods night. And finally, we get some good news tonight for a change. Haven't had it in a long time. And I think we're going to love talking about this one. The quarterback starting for the Florida Gators on Saturday, number 2, DJ Lagway. He's back. Benny, he's back.
Go DJ. That's my DJ. No, but I do agree. We needed some good news. And let me start off this way. I had a chance to sit down with a former teammate of mine. 84 Reasons episode coming here soon. And he's buddy. Dare I say he's in the media now? He's learning that you got to pick your battles. Like you can't respond to everything, every emotion that you have. And he said that's the one thing he didn't know. Because I said, look, like if Chris Doering, Tim Tebow, who work for SEC Network, different, if they pick LSU, in their heart who they want to win, but they're analysts, they're columnists. They have to see. They can't have orange and blue colored glasses on. But what I told my former teammate is I said, you don't have to prove your passion. We've been taught, buddy, not that he is the validator. The one thing I've been talking about, you've been talking about, the hardest thing to build is culture. Culture is hard. Culture is hard to build, whether it's University of Florida, whether it's Gator bait, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a company. It's hard, right?
Right.
Nick Saban gets college game day on Saturday. They bring up Florida, Florida and Texas. You know what the Nick Saban say? Oh man, they building a culture down there. He said, if I'm a recruit, Florida is definitely going to be on my list. Now here's the thing, right? People are like, what does he talk? Because culture, most of the time, buddy, you know what the thing about culture? Most of the time, 1, we're not a part of it, and 2, we benefit from it. We've never been the one that have to build it. And I am not making excuses for Billy Napier. I am just saying, 1, I am happy that DJ Lagway is going to be starting on Saturday because it gives us a jolt of energy. It gives us a level of enthusiasm that I think not just the Florida team needs, but Gator Nation needs. But people, I used to get that mantra of, oh, Ben, you're just an apologist. No, I'm not. Oh, Ben, you just don't want to say nothing negative. I don't get paid by Florida. I can say whatever I want. Buddy can say whatever he wants. But with the 1 million things we can say, Buddy writes a column, I read the column, and by the time I push send, I breathe. Okay, let me take a step back from this thing. I want you to name me every college in the SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and Pac-12 that's down to their third quarterback. That will be one. There is one school that was down to their third. That I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you what it was. I am looking forward to the game on Saturday, buddy, because just like when Kentucky came to town, we was ready to exercise some demons. Like, hey, man, we got to get back to what we do against them. LSU is a different thing. I know they're coming off an embarrassing loss, just like Florida is. But I do like our chances because we are a different team at home. I'm not saying because we played Miami at home, played Texas A&M at home. It's not like we had the best,
Right.
But buddy, I'm like you. When you've been on, I have too, but you've been on the DJ Lagway train since he got on campus. You like, there's something different about this kid. And when we say something different, we know he got the big arm. We're talking about what he does for the morale and the confidence of his teammates. That's what I mean when I say different. And people go, well, Ben, you talk like you got experience. I do. There was this bum by the name of Chris Leak. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. He was a bum, just awful, right? Mm-hmm. I played with him when he was 18. And so I understand. And as much as I had 4 years experience on him, I still wasn't under center. I still didn't have to play quarterback. So I am looking forward to this weekend because sometimes, buddy, I'm going to say this too. There are fans that their frustration is warranted. Everything they're saying is warranted. Mm-hmm. What they gonna say when we win, though? What they gonna say if we do actually get to 6? Dare I say 7? Dare I say 7? Because, buddy, if we get to 7, that means we go 3-0 these next 3 weeks. What? They're not gonna do that, right? And we're gonna take it one game at a time. I get it. But I am happy that DJ Lagway is playing. I mean, buddy, you think about it. With the stories that you say, and all of a sudden it come over to 6 starting. And I know you have to verify it. You know, I know when you were listen, columnist is what I was when I wrote a column and I could just analyst. They break down film. Journalists, they can write. They went to journalism school. Most of us will never be in that journalism part. Not because we don't want to do the work. We just want to somebody tell us DJ Lagway's playing. We don't verify it. We write it. Somebody says, wait a minute. They so, but in all that, me rambling on, I am looking forward to Saturday, buddy, because like I said, I'm not comparing Florida to anybody. I'm not talking about the team over there on the Panhandle. I'm not talking about the team down south. It's about the boys in Gainesville. I heard it's supposed to be some big time. Shout out to the kicker we got. Number 1 kicker in the nation? Saw we got the number 1 kicker, but I'm looking forward to this weekend, buddy. Sometimes it's just good to get back to playing football. DJ Lagway seems to be a guy that's, definitely helping 2025 in 2024, and hopefully we can put some plays together, man, to play this team hard, and hopefully we ain't shocking the world if we beat them. We just.
I want to ask you about that just a minute. We're going to drill down on that for a second. We're going to focus tonight on realistic assessments and picks, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I arrived at my conclusion. Because when I sat down at my computer today, and I'm in Ocala today and had a long day doing stuff, I thought to myself, I think Florida can win this football game. I had a feeling about it. I have picks, I have thoughts, but really do I get a feeling about it? And I had a feeling about this game that something good was going to happen. And I went ahead and wrote this column on, I'm sick and tired of LSU. They're starting to get on my nerves. Yep. I guess it started with the Shoegate game, maybe before that, maybe with the Hurricane game when they had that big mess there. And I don't try to get – I don't have I said in my column, I don't have a predisposed opinion of Georgia or Tennessee or LSU rivals, although I think right now LSU's right up there with almost Georgia in terms of the rival. I don't sit there and say I can't say I hate anybody. I don't, either team. But I am sick and tired of seeing LSU win a game, especially when they don't have a better team. Especially in 2020 when they had the Shoegate game. Do you realize, if you do some research on that, we forget Florida was the number 6 team in the nation that night. Number 6. Yeah, they were number 6. Remember those days? Number 6. There's my column right there, Brendan put up with a good picture by Chris Spears. And this is it right now. And so that night, it was one, I said this, I wrote about it some in the column. That was one of the weirdest nights I've ever seen in football. And maybe the weirdest night I've seen in the Swamp, with the eerie feeling of like the fog, you're fogged in. And, you know, the whole thing was out of kilter. And somehow or another, LSU, with not a better team, wound up with some lucky breaks. That's what they were. They were literally bounces of the ball on an interception that they got. And the other one was getting the penalty. Marco Wilson, you were a good player, buddy, but you'll always remember for the shoe. And I think there has to be an exorcism. Marco's going to come back and get that shoe and burn it on the field. Because ever since that night, things haven't been right. It's the curse of the thrown shoe. Remember, that gave them a first down. They kicked a 57-yard field goal, 57, in the fog, and won the game. I don't know. And I said, well, that's just not Florida's night. And no, we go back a little further to the game got a hurricaned out, where Foley and the Leva AD from LSU got into a pissing contest about where the game was going to be played. And I said in my column, I love the food from Louisiana, but lately I'm getting kind of an aftertaste about it, you know? And
and that's what you like.
I don't like it.
That's what you like. That's it, buddy. That's it. Like LSU is a thorn in our side, and we got to pull it out, and we got to pull it out, and we got to deal with it, and we got to come out there and play, without, just crazy type, organized, chaotic football. All football is organized chaos. It's chaos, but it's organized. And we've had some crazy games, right? We had some crazy games when it comes to LSU. Even my time at LSU, beating them my freshman year, beating them my sophomore year. My junior year, they came to Florida. They got a little ugly. That was Ron Zook's first year. We played them at night in the Swamp. Got some get back, my senior year. But I would say the thing about LSU is not unbeatable. LSU is a real rivalry. I get it. People are gonna say, well, being 2018, Joe Burrow comes to the Swamp. He throws a pick 6. We win the game. 2019, we go up there with them. He's a different player. We lose 42-28, right? And here comes the craziness. I don't know what year it was, but we was wearing all orange up there, and they had like 4 opportunities on the goal line, and we stopped them, right? We stopped them. Buddy, LSU to Florida is what Auburn used to be. When Florida and Auburn used to play all the time, then all of a sudden Florida just stopped playing Auburn. But LSU has had their way, last 4 years. Just like Kentucky had its way the last 3 years. I like Florida's chances because I think sometimes, buddy, I don't want no get-back game for a team that I'm better than. I don't want to get back game for a team that's less than. I want to get back game for a team that's good.
One of the troubles is that Florida's gotten beaten by a team that's not as good as them several times, I hate it when they get beat. I mean, you lose a game once in a while, okay. But losing consistently to a program and a team, first of all, let me just say this up front. I think Brian Kelly is the most overrated coach in the SEC.
Say it with your chest.
I mean, look at his. And I read this. I read out of Francis' column, and I wrote it down and used it in the column. He's 26-10. Now, Shane Matthews said, "Well, I'll take 26-10." Yeah, you will now if you're Florida, but you're supposed to be an elite coach. You're making $10 million a year.
Left Notre Dame to do things that. Left Notre Dame to do something at LSU he never did in Notre Dame. You didn't. Right. He won at Notre Dame. He didn't win the net. Yeah. But here's the thing about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly would be the first of his kind. Orgeron won. Les Miles won. Nick Saban won. 2004, 2007, 2019. So it was like, hey, man, we got this pipeline. Let's bring in You know Brian Kelly. Now, what did he do his first year right out the gate? Go to the SEC championship game. Got it. Last year had a Heisman Trophy winner. Didn't win it. So Brian Kelly is good, not great. When Brian Kelly first got to LSU, he had I don't know what type of accent that was. We ain't heard it since.
Oh yeah, no,
I don't know. I don't know what that was. And whoever told him to do that. Let me tell you something. In the South, we have different dialects of our English. Yes, yeah. It's gonna sound different in Louisiana. It's gonna sound different in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Florida. But I don't know what that was. I'm still trying to figure out who that was. He probably went home. His wife was like, "Why are you talking like that?"
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, first of all, here's the guy, Scott Woodward, the kingmaker, right? Scott Woodward, the kingmaker, the guy who declares someone a king. He and got Jimbo Fisher and gave him $75 million on a guaranteed contract for 10 years. He turns around and gets hired by LSU. He gives Brian Kelly $10 million a year on whatever longer. I'm thinking, who sort of made him the kingmaker? Why do we think that Scott Woodward knows something nobody else knows? He tries to anoint people. He wants to make them the king, make them a great. He ain't going to be, he's not going to get Nick Saban. Sorry, he ain't going to get it. So I'm a little tired of that phony baloney thing. Then LSU coming in here and beating Florida in different ways. Remember the year they didn't throw a pass early and beat Florida?
Yep.
I go back with this rivalry being way back before you were born, when Steve Spurrier was playing in that game. I went to New Orleans many, many times and watched that game, watched Baton Rouge, watched it. It's now almost, they had to forego 3 games they had lost because they were for cheating. I think the series is about almost exactly even because of that. Florida might be 1 behind, but it's almost dead even. It's time for Florida to take back that series and not lose to these guys anymore, Ben.
Yeah. I mean, buddy, simple as that. It's like this. Sometimes, coaches got to come in. They got to, coaches, they have to strategize all the time, especially the head coach. You got to speak to the team, before practice. You got to speak to them after practice. You got to speak to them during practice. You got to have team meetings. You got breakdown meetings. Sometimes you just come in and say, fellas, yeah, enough is enough. Like, I'm sick. It doesn't matter if I had nothing to do with it, if I inherited it. We got to say enough is enough. Like, not to compare the two. Yeah. Kentucky came into Florida with a lot of confidence based on the previous 3 years. Brock Vandergriff ain't had nothing to do with the 3 years. He was at Georgia. And they was like, hey, Brock, listen, I know you've never been here before, but we've been having our way with Florida the last 3 years or whatever. They a different team. Brock goes out there. He was like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. It don't usually go this way. It usually be a dog fight. No, Florida, on Saturday, Alabama plays LSU. Did all this hype about LSU, Alabama. Jalen Milroe was like, what? Jalen Milroe said, wait. What? Y'all got us playing these dudes at night? For what? So Jalen Milroe said, and he's the best dual threat quarterback in the nation. Hands down, no debate. He said, LSU, back in the day, Florida played Georgia 2002, my junior year, the only time we played that night. I was blessed enough to catch the game with a touchdown pass. The next day, the Gainesville Sun, the headline said, like old times, and they spell O-O-L-E. That's what Florida needs to get back to. Hey, man, we need to get back to the old times. We need to get back to telling LSU, look. Y'all have had some moments, and we respect y'all. But no, because, buddy, sometimes having too much respect for a team, it ain't a good thing. Because it's almost like, that's LSU. So I'm like you, buddy. Like, we don't got to dig into the archive, try to come up with something fancy to tell the players. DJ Lagway, you new to this, but we true to this. We're going to go out there and we're going to handle business. And once again, we don't care how it looks. We want the W. And people say, well, Ben, where do you get that from? Coach Spurrier. Coach Spurrier, my 2 years with him, he never talked about winning. He talked about executing and doing what we're supposed to do. And every time we did, we won. And every time we didn't, we lost. I mean, we didn't lose a lot. I think the same thing. Hey, fellas, execute execute, have fun. Because you know what? Because you know how you have fun in football when you execute and you dominate. That's when you having fun. So for me, buddy, I'm like you. I'm sick of LSU. LSU get on my last nerves. I can't stand them. I can't stand nobody we play, but I can't stand LSU.
No, I can't. I really say, like I said, that Cajun food leave an aftertaste in my mouth now. I don't like that anymore. So here's a guy who hates Georgia. I begin to feel like Francis towards Georgia, but as LSU's getting sick of my crawl. I'm going to tell you about our friends at Meldon Law, and Franz Beard's standing by for some comments. He's had some good. I quoted him in a column today when he talked about Brian Kelly. And I want to tell you about our friends over at Meldon Law. They're good people. They also are great supporters of the University of Florida. They're the official injury law firm of the University of Florida. They sponsor this program and many other things. They have a great Facebook page. If you want to score some tickets and stuff, you can get it over there. Go to Meldon Law Facebook page. Check out. They got tickets for basketball, tickets for gymnastics, tickets for football, trips. They do a terrific job of helping the Florida fan. They also support the program at the University of Florida. They do a little law, too, by the way. They have locations in Ocala, Gainesville, Williston, Lake City for your needs. I've recently employed their services and very pleased so far with how things are going. So if you need something reviewed, looked at, whatever, Meldon Law is the place to go. Remember, Meldon Law, they won't back down. And neither will this guy right here. He's back. He's back. He's still going strong. Okay, there he is. Still going strong. Francis, LSU is starting to really bug me.
I think they're starting to bug a lot of people, including their own fans, who are asking themselves, "Okay, this is year 3. We had the best college football player on the planet for 2 straight years, and we couldn't win the big ones. Now we got Garrett Nussmeier, who can look really good against Nicholls State when he throws 6 touchdown passes, but against Division I competition, he's not doing so well. In his last 5 games, 8 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions. And LSU has not played particularly well. They can't run the football. They're only averaging 114 yards a game, which is down in the bottom feeders nationally. It is the lowest in the SEC. And teams that can run on them can beat them because you can't. It's hard to win football games when you don't have the football, and that's what teams are doing against them. They're just running the ball. The Aggies was ground and pound. LSU lost to Alabama last week.
LSU's running game is not that good.
Oh, it's non-existent. They have a great freshman named Caden Durham, and I think they would be wise to try to run him 20, 25 times the ball game in lieu of the fact that they don't have anybody else. But he may be kind of fragile because they're only running him 8 or 9 times a ball game, buddy. And this is a guy averaging 6.5 a carry. So, it would be just our luck that they'd come out here like they did a couple years ago in Baton Rouge when all of a sudden Florida's there and they ran the ball, and Florida couldn't stop them. So, weird stuff happens in this series. Weird stuff happens in this series.
It does.
And particularly weird stuff happens against LSU. And it goes back a long way with that. There's just been so many years when you think one way and then just the opposite happens. You might remember, buddy, a game back in 1963, and LSU comes here and Florida turned the ball over inside the 20. LSU scores, and I think they won the game 7-0. Florida had Frank Lasky at defensive tackle, and Frank Lasky, I think, went to. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but if he's dead, he went to his grave thinking that he stopped LSU on that 4th down play, and it should have been a 0-0 tie.
Well, let's gather around the huddle for a minute here, because we haven't had a whole lot good to really rally around recently. And Ben is in upbeat mood tonight. Friends, you should be in a good upbeat mood. You had a great week of writing and broadcasting. And I'm feeling something, and I want to tell you how I arrived at my decision. I sort of woke up this morning and said to myself, I'm sick of LSU winning games. I'm just sick of it. And why, why is it they don't have to keep winning? Florida's going to stop the streak. 5 in a row. Are you kidding me? And I started thinking about the games, the Hurricane game. There was such a ugly, bad feeling this game between Oliva and Foley. And I started thinking about the Shoegate game. I thought, I got some bad feelings about this team and about this situation. I started thinking about it. Why can't Florida win this game? And I said to myself, and finally I wrote the column, I made a pick, and I said, if DJ Lagway starts, I think they'll win the game. And about 20 minutes later, I got the bulletin, DJ Lagway is starting the game. So I'm down. I'm down with Florida here to win this game, certainly to cover the 4 points, win the game. And I think it's time to reverse some things. And, your boy Brian Kelly is beatable very much, friends, as you know. Why not now? I just want to say, I'm feeling kind of upbeat about this thing, and I'm not being a homer. Ben, I don't know. Does it feel good to you?
It does feel good to me. I mean, DJ Lagway is definitely, like I said, he's a jolt of energy, enthusiasm, and he's a jolt of optimism, because I think no matter what, he boosts the spirits of everybody on the team. It's almost like, I don't even look at these injury reports no more, when it comes to Florida, because I'd be like, good Lord, like how many, this person I start, that person I start. DJ Lagway makes it so that the defense knows, hey, man, we got a guy that's going to push the ball down the field, let's create some more, opportunities for him. And like I said, both Florida and LSU coming off embarrassing losses, I just think that Florida's run game is a strength. And anytime, and friends, you know this as well, anytime a player's coming off an injury, it's going to be a heavy dose of the run game. I don't care who it is. We're going to let the run game, open up for the passing game. And, hey, I do like our chances. Yeah, going back to the beginning of the season, we were saying, 7-5. 7-5 is still out there. Now, it's going to be extremely difficult to get to 7-5. But everybody Florida's lost to, not to count their losses as good losses, but they were good teams. Every last one of them at this point have been good teams. I think that Florida exercised some demons against a team like Kentucky that's had their way with Florida the last 3 years. LSU was beatable. And when we say things like Shoegate, it's just crazy that that's even a real thing, but it actually happens.
Really?
And it's like I said, these LSU Florida series has been really, really weird. The kind of things that have gone on. Because I even go back to 2019. Yes, the game got away, 42-28. That game was a back-and-forth affair. Florida was doing their thing at Baton Rouge. It's just, hey, too much Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Thaddeus Moss. I get it, but Florida don't got to look themselves in the mirror and do no pep talk. You can beat this team. How you beat them? Run the football, protect DJ Lagway, get after the quarterback on defense. Make special teams, a weapon, and throw the ball vertical. The great thing about when Billy Napier called plays for DJ Lagway, it's not a lot of things horizontal. He's actually throwing the ball vertical, throwing the ball this way, which is something that I can appreciate. And like I said, I agree with you, buddy. I think the game was winnable, and more than winnable. And Florida just got to go out there and execute. And like I said, no matter what. When it comes to these games now, you're going to have, Gator Nation, we ready. I mean, if you on X and you watching the game, it'll drive you crazy. You got to pick one. Don't do both. And I have tried to do both. And X is nuts. It is it. These are not bots. These are us going crazy every single snap. It's like Gus Johnson calling the game. Gus Johnson will go crazy on a 1st and 10, 2-yard run. Oh, my God. That's how it is on X when you listen to us play a game. But DJ Lagway, happy that he's back. I wish he wasn't even got on the plane to go to Texas. Like, man, leave him alone. You know, he need another week, but he is back against LSU.
Let me tell you something about. I have a very good friend of mine out in Las Vegas, who is out in Las Vegas. Will be returning home Saturday morning for the Florida game. Everybody knows Bobby DeLessio. Bobby D is a guy that he pretty well knows point spreads and things like that. You could get 3-point money on Florida LSU this morning in Las Vegas. Now you got to remember something. That point spread started out at 7 Sunday night, and it was down to 5 on Monday. It was down to 4.5 on Tuesday. It was down to 4 last night, and now you're talking you can get 3-point money.
Yeah, that noose is just like this to Brian Kelly right now. He's starting to feel it.
Well, here's what that tells us. That tells us these people are thinking, Lagway is going to play. That means that LSU is vulnerable. Now we get the information also that Elijah Badger is going to play. And oh my gosh, you got DK on one side, and we know what he can do. And you put Badger on the other side, and we know what he can do. And now you got Aiden Mizell starting to emerge as a receiver. You got Hayden Hansen, who's proven that he can catch the football, and you can run it. And here's the thing that, Buddy and Ben, Florida doesn't have to throw the football more than 15 or 20 times in this game, because the threat of DJ throwing it deep backs those safeties off. They are going to have to play, particularly when you can balance the field with Badger on one side, DK on the other. You know, you can't play a 1 high with that. You're going to have to play a 2 high, which means the middle of the field is going to be wide ass open. And guess what? The other thing that happens is this. You back your safeties off, you spread it like this. There are creases for that running game. And I love Montrell Johnson. Montrell Johnson is one of my favorite Gators. I mean, he really is. Tough guy, plays hard, everything like this. He may be available for this game, but is he going to be better than Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson have been these last couple of ball games?
He's not going to be.
Jacoby Jackson, as much as I love Jaden Ball, buddy, Jacoby Jackson is an absolute stud. I'm telling you what, you want to talk about it. Jaden Ball will do this and make people miss. Jacoby Jackson is like a heat-seeking missile, and he sees a 180-pound cornerback out there, and you know what he starts thinking? Okay, here we go. I can run this guy over, and he does.
Sticks his foot in the ground. I like that about him too. Like sticks his foot in the ground, makes his cuts. You know, it's a funny thing how your attitude is, and that is that this comments about, do you think Billy will get fired if he? I'm even beyond that right now. I'm so far beyond that. I think that ship has sailed for now, maybe next year again. But at this point in time, it's not about whether he'll get fired. It's can you win some games?
Yeah.
Win some games here, you know?
And he's not going to get fired, period. End of story. You know, that ship sailed right now. But, the idea that Billy gets fired and doesn't get fired, those are two ships passing in the night, 1,092 yards apart. I'm telling you, there's 1,092 miles apart, not yards. Those are a long way apart. Kent Fox is the interim president. He is not going to fire a coach, and because you're going to have to replace a coach immediately. If you fire him, you got to replace him immediately because of recruiting and the portal. You got to. And he's not going to stick some new guy, some new president with somebody else's picks. So DJ Lagway, I wrote about this after the Samford game. DJ Lagway saved Billy Napier, and we can go all the way back to that game and look at it. Those long bombs he threw that game, literally, that opened everybody's eyes. They're saying, wait, if he goes, DJ goes. DJ's staying, Billy's staying at least one more year.
Yeah. Can you hold on a second, friends? I got to do something there. Let me get this on the screen. Can y'all see it all right? You can't see it. It's supposed to be a pom-pom.
I thought you're surrendering.
I don't have any. Since whoever this dude is, Tane, who died, made him an expert. Fran, he calls you. Fran always keeps it real on this Florida team. Troop and Buddy are cheerleaders. So, Ben, get your pom-poms out. Here you go.
Hey, wait. I like this guy. This is the first time. This is probably the first
You're
time
the one who's always called the sunshine
that I have been called something other than a Florida cheerleader.
I'm about to say, listen. Who else? Listen, I've been called worse, so I could add it to the repertoire. But if being a cheerleader means that DJ Lagway makes the whole team optimistic, DJ Lagway makes the team better, DJ Lagway makes these two safeties have to back up because of the threat of a deep ball, and we got a better O line than them, we got a better D line than them, we run the football better than them. If that makes me a cheerleader, hey, I'm gonna be a cheerleader every week because those sounds like analytics to me. But once again, I had to realize this real fast. I had to pick what waters I want to swim in. When it comes to Florida, I can go. Listen, the optimistic waters it's plenty of room over there. Now them shark infested waters, it's packed. I mean, ain't no room. I would literally have to be on top of people because there's so many people over there. So I just choose swim in the stream of optimism only because when I talk about culture, people say, what are you talking about? When friends talk about it, don't nobody want to listen. When Buddy talk about it, don't nobody want to listen. The first thing Nick Saban said on College Game Day about Florida is they're building a culture. And if I'm a recruit, I would want to go there. What? Nick Saban said, yeah, because culture is tough. It's extremely tough. I mean, it's like this. Listen. The reason why my kids gonna ask their grandparents for something and not me, because grandma and papa, they more likely to say yeah, because they don't see them that much. You want me to get what? They'll say, see that, Daddy? Papa said, yeah, well, go ask Papa for a car. You come time to drive, go ask him for that. I bet you're gonna be like, whoa, because there's too many of y'all. Right now, Papa don't mind getting on Reese cups and some popcorn and a couple of dollars. Go ask him for a car. I'm just saying, for me, I say that to say when it comes to I've been called a lot of things. I'll take cheerleader. I just know what a quarterback does for a team. That's in high school, Pop Warner, college. Because guess what? If your quarterback ain't good, it don't matter what else you got around you. It really don't matter. But when he is, it boosts everything else. So let's do it.
I hear what you're saying. I wrote this in the column today, and it's not something we address that often, friends, as journalists, which we pride ourselves in doing. You, of course, already have the reputation with the fans of being a true journalist, Fran. But the bottom line is that you have to acknowledge there are fans / journalists. There are journalists who love to cover a team and don't openly root, but do root for them. But write it down the middle. Write it and talk it right down the middle. As we talked about, friends, many times we've had good friends, coaches on the team. We had to write some pretty bad things about them. If they can't understand that about us, they can't be our friends. We can't be their friends. So there is that. We want Florida to win. We do that. We're not going to go out and write just glowing stories. I know he thinks we're cheerleaders, but we do have a responsibility to try and get perspective. But tonight I am very optimistic about how I feel about things. I can tell you the times in my life when I've had these feelings. Friends, you had them too. When you tell me that night against Ohio State, they're going to beat Ohio State. I had already picked Ohio State to beat Florida that night.
Yeah.
I got up in the middle of the night and went in on Gator country and changed my pick and picked Florida because you convinced me, and you were right. They hammered them. I swear this is a true story. Back, I don't know what was the year of the choke-a-doke. I forget the year.
1993.
Okay. Going out the door of my house in Ocala, and I always wait to see how I kind of feel I have about this game. And I was getting ready to get in the car and drive to Tallahassee. My wife said, well, who's going to win? And I swear to you, I said these words, I don't know. I just can't pick a team here. It feels like almost like it was going to be a tie. And lo and behold, it was a tie, but you could have ties those days. So I do go by feelings. I've been wrong on feelings. but I have a really good feeling about this game. And you guys know how I feel, how much I like Lagway. I've been on him since day one. He's a guy, I think this is a perfect moment. You talk about a game that would sting for LSU, Brian Kelly losing his third game. I would love to see that. And I'd love to see the Florida Gators be the one to give it to them.
Let me tell you something that happened as well. And this ties into what you were saying. 2006, we're on the way, three of us on the way to the stadium there that looked like Mother Earth or whatever like that. I mean, it looked like what was it? The show that the movie Richard Dreyfuss was in. But it looked like the spaceship, the mothership had landed, and we're 20 miles out. And I'm on a radio show out of Iowa at the time, and they called me up and they said, "Okay, we're 3 hours from game time. What's your prediction?" And I said, "Florida will win this game by at least 20 points." And I said, "If the Gators don't win by 20 points, I will go on your show tomorrow and I'll spend 3 hours on your show, and everybody can hurl every insult imaginable at me, and I'll take it." And their phone bank lit up. People calling me up. "You got to be absolutely nuts. This Ohio State team is the greatest team ever assembled." Kirk Herbstreit even called them that. Well, guess what happened? Florida comes in there, and the only reason it was as close as 27 points is because Urban felt bad for his buddy Jim Tressel and just ran the ball in the second half. If they keep throwing to Cornelius Ingram in that second half, Florida would have scored 60.
Yeah, I bet Lauren Meadows remembers that. I want to say before I bring in Lauren and say good evening, remember, folks, Titan MRI is a place you should check out. If you live in North Central Florida, you want to go someplace where they care about your experience, and someone who can give you more comfort, can adjust their schedule to yours. You're the consumer. Go to Titan MRI and check out what they've got there. They have the bigger, what do they call those things they put there when you do like a tube or the MRI, make them bigger so you don't get squeezed so tight. If you have a problem getting off work and going, they'll custom make you an appointment in evening or on the weekend. If you didn't have insurance, they'll take cash or card at a reasonable amount of money. So I encourage you, if you got to have give an MRI. If you need to get one right away, go to TitanMRI.com and make an appointment and go see them up in Gainesville. Tell Buddy Martin sent you. TitanMRI.com. Good evening, Lauren.
How you guys doing? Yeah, I do remember that game. I was watching it with about 40 Ohio State fans, and I was the only Florida fan. And I remember one of my buddies is a big-time Catholic, and at halftime they had him praying the rosary for that game. So, yeah, it was I mean, obviously, they were definitely – I mean, Ohio State was a good football team. They just ran into a little something better and bigger on that night. And, I was telling somebody, it's and this is kind of a cautionary tale at all. I think that, especially since Urban has been at Ohio State, the way that they recruit has changed since under Tressel. Tressel was very loyal to Ohio kids and things like that, whereas Urban was getting some dudes in there. And that's continued, for them. So, but yeah, that night was definitely Florida's night. And, people forget that season, Florida was and that's what I reminded people at Ohio State, was that Florida was the first week of the season, they were the number one team in the country. And so people thought enough of them then that they thought they were going to be pretty good. So,
yeah,
Yeah,
it's for sure. We lose France. I guess we did. So we'll come back to that. Lauren, we were having a conversation here tonight about this game. We got some positivity going here right now. And certainly the news about DJ Lagway being able to start the game at least casts a better light on this game. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't deny his ability. We talked about it on Tuesday on the show. I mean, just another facet, and should he be able to go, even if he's not able to run or things like that, the ability to stretch the field, the ability to affect the run game, even just the threat of him being able to come out the back door on those zone reads and different things like that, and just being able to move the pocket. I mean, because even if he's 70%, his ability to move the pocket, change launch points, I mean, that's stressful on any defense because you do have to worry about him running. And so his ability to drive the ball, excuse me, down the field is going to be key. And obviously they didn't play great against Texas on defense, but maybe a couple extra possessions for the Florida offense gives the defense a little time to rest, get their bearings together a little bit. Because I do think LSU presents some problems. They got some decent receivers, and if Nussmeier's rolling, obviously with Florida being a little banged up in the secondary, that there is the threat there. But obviously, the good news that Lagway will be there. I mean, just having Montrell Johnson on third downs, to if LSU blitzes, I mean, he's gonna run up there and punch you in the face. So, just having him back for some of those situations and things like that is going to be key. And getting Elijah Badger back, obviously, I'm not sure where he is now. I haven't checked, but at the time of his injury, basically leading the country in yards per catch. So just that threat alone just gives you more weapons. So absolutely, I mean, great news for the Gators.
We had a show last night. We were talking. Kevin Brocco was talking about it. We said the big loss with Pup Howard, and Kevin made a good point. There's some awfully good young talent over there, linebacker, not the least of which is Miles Graham, who looks like a real playmaker to me. And so, you never know. You lose somebody. Maybe this is a game where somebody breaks out. Now, you want to go down with no linebackers? No, you don't want to, but you want to be able to know when it's your time. They call your number, you're going to be ready. Miles Graham is the guy when they call his number, he's going to be ready, man.
He is going to be ready. I mean, obviously, it's hard to not look at him and not see his daddy. He looked just like his daddy with dreads in his hair. I mean, and I think the thing about a Miles Graham, I mean, enough can't be said about being ready and being a freshman. The two things don't usually go together because the thing about college football is learning your way takes time, like years. It's the same thing we talk about patience with a coach, patience with a player. Now, if you thrust in there, it's not an easy task because sometimes we judging it too much based on, what you're doing or what you're not doing. But I got to address something because every time this game was brought up, I said, I'm going to say this.
There's France.
Lauren brought up Ohio State versus Florida. And I don't know if he's listening. I'm going to say it because I know he – Ted, again, if you would have not gotten hurt, y'all still lose. Ted, I love you. But every time he sees, he going to show the opening kickoff, we get it. Ted, if you don't get hurt, Florida still wins. They're going to still beat y'all.
I know Ted Ginn Jr. and Sr., they know that.
Hey, Ted
they know
Ginn
that.
Jr., if Reggie Nelson doesn't get clipped right in front of the zebra, I mean, big time, you couldn't have missed it. And yet the zebra just absolutely overlooked it. Ted Ginn Jr. gets nailed at the 18-yard line.
I'm just saying, there are certain people you don't kick it to. One name is Ted Ginn Jr., right? And we get it. The other name is Devin Hester in the Super Bowl. Who won that Super Bowl? That would be the Colts. Who won the Natty? I mean, that wasn't even close. So, Ted, I love you, but come on, man, stop with the nonsense. Just stop it. But no, but this game here, I mean, I just think that. When you start talking about X and O's in this game, Florida just gonna have to do what they do. Like sometimes you gotta look, man, they're gonna run the ball. Yep. And they're gonna run it some more, and they're gonna run it some more, and they're gonna open it up to make those passing lanes a little bit wider for a guy like DJ Lagway. And hey man, I mean, I keep seeing these comments saying, with 6-6 and 75 is the barometer. That's not the barometer. That's where we are. 6-6 is never the barometer.
That's where you go. It's the step. It's the next step.
75 this year, though, would mean you went 3-0. You went 3-0 down the stretch, with that being Ole Miss, LSU, and we better be Florida State. And I just think that, DJ Lagway is the future. He just happened to have to step out there a little early, keep him healthy, run the football, ball, Keep doing what you're doing, young man. Listen, whenever Montreal Johnson, it might be an option, even if he's healthy. That's how well the running backs are playing right now.
Here's a prediction for you. Florida wins 2 out of 3, beats LSU, loses Ole Miss, wins Florida State, then wins the bowl game and goes 7-6. Wins 3 of the last 4. All of a sudden, you got 20 starters coming back, because I have it on pretty good authority that if Badger and DK don't hear what they want to hear from the NFL, they're going to do a Ricky Pearsall and come back for one more year with the opportunity to catch passes from this kid who's going to be throwing bombs to them, and they could really light it up next year with that kind of team, and with 4 or 5 starters coming back on the O-line, and a defense is going to have 46 guys for the starting 11, I mean, with experience. I mean, my gosh, Florida will be loaded next year, and everybody knows it. I talked to 2 coaches today while I'm driving back. Buddy and I had talked earlier, and I'm in the car most of the day, and I talked to 2 coaches who said, hey, this is the year. If you're going to get the Gators, get them right now, because you ain't going to get them next year.
Well, it's time now, gentlemen. It's time to go down and dirty and pick this football game. I'm already out there. I've announced where I was on it. I picked the Florida Gators in my column right now. On the title of it, I'm sick and tired of LSU, which I am. So I made my pick, and I really said, in a caveat, I didn't know that DJ was going to play. I simply said at the time, if he plays, I like the Gators. Well, he's playing, and I like the Gators. So that's what I got going on, and that's how I justify it. I know they got injuries. Everybody's got injuries. Look at everybody. Everybody's got tons of injuries. That's what November football is about, Lauren. You get those injuries, you get banged up.
Oh, yeah.
Through it. So I'm going to go now and to you, Lauren, and say, give me your projection right now today, as we know it, what is going to happen in this game Saturday afternoon.
Well, I'm going to answer Tommy Seal real quick. He asked me how the Lady Gators are going to fare in the SEC. Put it this way. They're going to be pretty good and will probably struggle to be in the top half of the SEC, not because they're not a good basketball team, because the SEC is that good when you talk about Texas and Oklahoma. As far as LSU is concerned, I think the Gators will play well. I think they'll be in the game to the very end. I'm just, I go back to just what I don't see on a week-to-week basis, and that scares me. Is I don't know if the team shows up week to week on a consistent basis. I do think DJ Lagway will allow the team to score some points. I know that LSU is not great offensively, but under Billy Napier, teams that have not looked great against other teams have looked really good against us. So I'm going to go hard-fought game. I'm going to go 31-27 LSU.
All right, so you got LSU. Ben?
Man, DJ Lagway definitely makes things interesting. I think that, if you're talking about what Florida does do well, they do establish the run, and they're going to have to stop the run, because I don't think LSU got good receivers. But if I'm looking at the home field advantage, I'm looking at DJ, even though they're not going to let him sit back in the pocket, 20, 30 times. I see him maybe between 15 and 20 times. They can run the football. They got to stay in it defensively. I'll take the same score. Lauren just gave 31-27 Florida. They can establish the run and make it a 4-quarter game.
I didn't pick a score, but I'm going to go ahead right now. I'm going to say I don't think Florida went by a touchdown. I got him at 30-22. France.
Here's the thing. I think we'll know what this game's going to happen in the first quarter. If Florida is running the football, Florida is going to win the ball game because they can run the ball. If LSU is stuffing the run and getting any kind of running game themselves, they're going to win it. I think Florida is going to be able to run the football. That's just my guess there. And I think that's going to – Florida, I don't know that Billy trusts his defense right now, particularly with Grayson Howard out and a couple other guys that are out. But I don't think he trusts his defense. But I think he does this. I think he trusts his running game enough to nickel and dime him to death. A lot of 4-yard, 5-yard, 6-yard runs, a lot of first downs, and a lot of time off the clock. LSU can't win the football game if they don't have the football, which is what happened to them last week, for example. And it just snowballed on them because once we got to the second half, Jalen Milroe would say boo, and they'd all jump and go, oh my God, he's running it again. It's amazing what happens with a running game. And Ben, you know that from having played in the NFL. Lauren, you know it from playing college football. You get in a game when one team can really run the football, and it sends panic waves through the other team. If they can't stop them, all of a sudden the panic goes to the offense, like, we got to score because we can't get the ball back from them. And teams that do that lose ball games. And I think that's the story of the Brian Kelly era at LSU. They have lost 10 ball games in his career. 9 of them to ranked teams. They're 5-9 against ranked teams. But look at the number of points they've given up during those ball games. And the reason they do is because teams run the ball on them typically, and they lose these ball games that they should win. How can you lose 7 ball games the last 2 years, previous 2 years, when you've got Jaden Daniels at quarterback? I tell you what, I love Joe Burrow, but by golly, if you had to give me a choice between Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels, I'll be darned. I'm not so certain I wouldn't take Jaden Daniels as my quarterback. Now, obviously Joe Burrow had more weapons and everything else, but Jaden Daniels is a stud. I think Florida is going to run the ball. I think Florida's going to win the game because they're going to keep LSU from having the football. And I think Brian Kelly is going to be making excuses again, which is why the LSU people are not happy right now. They're looking at this. They're saying, we got 7 more years at $10 million a year. And what are we getting for it? We're not going to win a national championship with this guy.
Well, we got some big games this weekend in the SEC. Lauren, pick out one. You got one you want to talk about?
Georgia, Tennessee.
Okay.
I think
about Nico, he might not play.
Yeah, if Nico doesn't play, I got Georgia taking care of business with or without Nico. And I think a lot of people, I said something to someone earlier about this. I think you better be careful because Rob so eloquently put it first, he was the one that kind of made me kind of do an aha, is you're talking about a really long season here. You're basically talking an NFL season. And how many times have we seen wild card teams win the Super Bowl? And, I know Georgia's been up and down, things like that. But as much as I hate to say it, but I'm going to be a media guy here. If they get in, you got to give them a shot. I mean, you do, because at that point, it basically becomes a 4-game season. And it's kind of like March Madness. Like somebody said the other day, you got it. Billy Donovan said we played the best. Basically, you play the best for 2 weeks. You play the best month of football, and you're right there. And so I think that Georgia goes in, kind of puts the SEC and the rest of the country back on notice by putting a foot in Tennessee.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Billy Donovan, Providence will retire his number 34 jersey. Congratulations to Coach Donovan.
They're just now doing that?
Oh, yeah, just now doing it. Ben, I'm all the same plans for something else. You got another SEC game that you're looking at real close besides Florida and Tennessee?
Just an old rivalry game. We got Texas and Arkansas. I mean, I know that Texas is not trying to have a letdown game, but Arkansas seems to be a team that maybe Arkansas comes in and say, look, I know we ain't nowhere near as good as them on paper, Obviously, Texas is definitely doing their thing right now, but anybody can be beat. I mean, because obviously the easy one is the Georgia Tennessee game. Georgia already beat UT. They finna beat UT twice. They already beat the one in Austin. They gonna beat the one in Knoxville. Because I just don't. I feel like Lauren. Sometimes people like, well, what happened with Georgia and Ole Miss? Well, what happened with Georgia and Florida? Sometimes Georgia gonna let Tennessee know. Listen, I know y'all got a better team than. Because Georgia sometimes let people know just how far away you are. So, but I do hope Arkansas pulls a huge spoiler. Because when you ain't got nothing to lose against a team like Texas, it probably won't happen, but we'll see. I am looking forward to seeing it.
France, we got basketball against Tallahassee tomorrow night.
Yes, we do.
How do you think Todd Gullen will be greeted?
Oh my gosh, it's going to be a barrage of bad stuff, and Todd better have his earplugs in and better be able to just block it all out, because they're going to harass him for sure. I'll tell you something, guys, and this is the thing that is the killer of this whole thing. And I don't mean to get political here, because I'm not, but anytime a man is accused of something with a woman, now I don't know if he's innocent or guilty. If he's guilty, then he's going to get what he deserves. If he's innocent, though, he still, every time he goes in life, everywhere he goes, that's going to come up. You Google Duke lacrosse. Those guys, 18 years ago, they still talk about the fact that they go anywhere and try to get a job, and that comes up and they get smeared. They have to explain all over again. And it's going to be bad news there in Tallahassee. And Todd, I hope Todd proves to be above it all. I really do. He's hired a great attorney in Mr. Turkle, who is one of the most highly paid attorneys in the country, $2,500 an hour. You better be innocent, and you better have money if you want this guy defending you. Now, let me throw one other thing other than basketball out here. I think Florida will beat Florida State, by the way, and go 4-0. Urban Klavzar, watch him tomorrow. The kid from Slovenia, he is a radar lock as a shooter. I'm telling you, he can flat out shoot, and he's going to be a guy that is an X factor for the Gators from here on out. The football game I'm looking forward to tomorrow, that's non-Florida, is North Dakota State and Missouri State. The Fargo Dome will be the rockinest place in all of college football. And if you've never watched a game there, it's a dome stadium, and they got 20,000 people and that dome makes it sound like they got 400,000 in there. And it's 9-1 North Dakota State, 8-2 Missouri State for the Missouri Valley Football Conference Championship. And probably the winner goes on to play in the championship game of Division I AA.
All right, thanks very much, friends. And I'll see you and Lauren in the press box at Steve Spurrier Field on Saturday. Ben, catch up to you later. Great job, gentlemen.
Hey, can I make a public service announcement real quick, buddy?
Sure.
If you get to the stadium early, and most of you do, head over to O'Connell Center. You got a great rivalry game. The women's basketball team is playing at noon against Miami. So everybody likes to see Florida beat Miami's big game, early season game. If you're mailing around, walking around, cut your tailgate a little short or take a half tailgate break and go check them out. They could really use the people in the stands, and they're doing some good things over there. So give them a you got a football ticket. You get into the basketball game free of charge. So,
and Kelly Ray can flat out coach, folks.
Period.
I mean, trust me on this. Florida's got the right coach, and you talk about building a culture. She's building a culture there. It doesn't happen overnight. Florida's not going to be LSU or South Carolina overnight, but they're taking those next steps, and they're getting there. They're almost at that point where they got the personnel to compete regularly with any of those people. It's getting close.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Great job, everybody. Appreciate it. Lauren, Franz, Ben, good night, guys. I want to tell you folks about our good friends at Renstar Medical Research, who are sponsoring this program, among others. They also do a great job on our health in North Central Florida. They're a very good local stakeholder in downtown Ocala. They support all kinds of things in Ocala, located in downtown Ocala. The owner is Joe Sorrentino. His son Joey, now a dentist in Ocala, played for the Gators. Mary Brantley, wife of the famous Scott Brantley. They are the founders of Rentstar. They are a very good local community business, and they want you to know how important it is that they get you to participate in their clinical trials. They want original research. They do it by getting you to come in and be a part of these studies, the variety of them on different things. Well, you'll take a pill or investigational medicine, whatever, no charge to you, no harm to you. And you get data, and they get data they get to send off to the companies. And we all know more about ourselves, our health. Good for you, good for Rentstar, good for everybody. So check them out. Rentstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Well, thanks to our guests tonight, our usual guys. Good to have Ben and friends and Lauren on. We'll be back this weekend, maybe with a pop-up show, especially if they beat LSU, which I'm predicting they're going to do. I know I might be wrong, but I'm sticking with it. Gators will beat LSU on Saturday in a 5-game streak. And DJ Lagway, the world will start understanding how good this young man is. Looking forward to being there, looking forward to watching him play, and looking forward to seeing a victory by these Gators who desperately need that for sure. So we'll see what happens. We'll be out there on Saturday, and we'll be talking to you after the game or on Monday. Good night, folks.